It's electric.
It's not a bird, it's not a plane, it's Superhero Slate. It's a modern podcast where we talk about everything that's great, like movies, TV, superheroes. It's Superhero Slate, oh yeah.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Superhero Slate, the show where we run down the latest superhero entertainment news.
We love TV, movies, and superheroes, so let's talk it all out.
My name is Chris Dillard.
And my name is Mike Royer.
And this week, we're looking at the latest Suicide Squad cast members, Mike.
Ooh, okay.
Nice gallery to take a peek at here. More DC properties are joining CW's Crisis on Infinite Earths.
You know, throw it all in there. We got a couple weeks before that thing airs. I think we can cram a little bit more in.
And I've got more to add to this list. How much can Disney pay for Spider-Man's movie rights?
Ooh, we'll find out.
I bet there's a B in there for billions. And more.
Yeah, hopefully everybody realizes, compared to last week, I sound a little bit better. So finally fighting off the last vestiges of this cold, so hopefully the podcast is slightly more enjoyable. But unfortunately, we've added a little bit of coughing symptoms from my co-host Chris on the other side of the microphone. I'm still fighting off a cough, so we're going to be battling with the cough buttons that are on the microphones for this, so... just give us one more pass, one more week. I keep hearing from everybody out there in the world that it's going around. Everybody's getting sick. So shout out to anybody in the world right now that is sick listening to the podcast. Hopefully this will ease your soul, because when I've been sick for the last week, you know, sometimes like your eyes just get tired of like streaming something on the couch and you're just like, I'm sick and I can't get up, so I don't want to do anything. So sometimes I'll just like throw on a podcast because I don't have to engage my eyes. I can just engage my ears. So the best prescription is more Superhero Slate.
That is true. That is true. And the best part is you don't need a doctor to prescribe it to you. You can get it over the counter, if you will. And
you do need to show your driver's license, though, because we have pseudoephedrine in our podcast, and that is a controlled substance.
And most people can get it for free without a copay. Most people, there's an asterisk here. Some people do need to pay to listen to the show, and you know who you are. But yeah, so luckily my microphone is a higher end model than Mike's, so whenever I start coughing, I can turn it off. Because I've got this little annoying cough that has no substance to it, so I just sound like I've got the black lung from Zoolander, and nobody wants to hear that the whole time. People at work are probably done with me. They're tired of hearing me do my little cough, so kudos to them. I actually spent this week at work putting a desk together in my new office. I had to put a desk together. You ever do that, Mike?
I've put together my fair share of furniture.
And if anything's gonna bring you closer to your coworkers, it's definitely putting together office furniture. But I did find out if you go to YouTube and search lo-fi hip hop beats, you can probably find something to put some desk together.
You've discovered the lo-fi hip hop. This is like a.
It's not a discovery, but it definitely, I think, helped reduce my anger throughout the whole process.
It is this huge growing kind of like wave of just like chill beats that are just out there in the world. Like, I don't think most people care where the sounds come from or who the artists are. They just want to be able to hit a button and just listen to lo-fi beats until like they fall asleep or until they finish their homework, or, you know, until they're done putting a desk together. If you ever go check them out on YouTube, there seems to be some sort of cross between lo-fi hip-hop beats and anime, or at least artistry in general, because there's some people that'll like, you know, put their artistic skills to work and they'll draw like an animated kind of like chill looping background of like somebody laying on their bed, and maybe they just animate like a ceiling fan spinning, and then they have like the lo-fi beat. So it's a weird kind of culture sub-community out there attached to it that I think is like actually really cool.
As someone who works on video and would like to just throw something and repeat the animation over and over again, I definitely know where they're coming from. Like, this is the easiest thing to make last hours and hours, like 2 hours, without having to redo everything over and over again. So
I've actually discovered that there's a couple different subreddits, not of the lo-fi genre. I'm sure there are for sure, but but of just like just chill scenery. Like there's just a whole appetite of people that just want soothing animated GIFs that just kind of loop, and there's people that like want it to be even more granular, where they want soothing animated GIFs, but they want them to be pixel art. So like all of that out there exists. Sometimes the internet can be really great if you look in the right corners, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely agree. I like to think it would lower my blood pressure sometimes just looking at this stuff, you know. As Mike hacks up a lung over there. But speaking of, cool parts of the internet, we've got some shout outs we want to go through at the start of the show this week. We have a lot of listeners reach out to us through our channels, and while we might not hit them up at the start of every week, we do see everything, and we do talk about it between each other, mostly outside of the show. So, Mike, why don't you just start up here? Maybe if you get you talking, we can help with your cough here a little bit. Who is the first person you want to give a shout out to this week?
Well, oh man, shout out to hold on.
Yep, there's another one. Sorry guys, sorry about that.
We're gonna have to trim this out of the show.
Go on.
I made the mistake of trying to hold on to a cough drop in my mouth, and it did not work.
Oh.
So now my eyes are like friggin' watering. I'm trying not to die over here. I just made it worse. What a good way to start the show.
That's a great start to the show, Mike. Oh, gosh.
We'll see what Chris keeps in this and what he
I might leave it all at this point. I don't want to mess up all the time codes, but continue.
All right. I'm going to give a shout out to Uncanny LZ, who reached out on Twitter. And surprise, surprise, we were both at a wedding the other weekend for a friend of the show, Quentin Parker, and he knew the bride and the groom personally, and somehow also listened to our podcast. So I don't know what confluence of the universe brought this person into our little Superhero Slate circle, but thanks for reaching out, and I hope you're enjoying the podcast.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully you are, because you're listening to it, and it wasn't a horrible review, thankfully. So to shout out to him, I definitely follow him on his page, and he shows a lot of comic book panels. So if you're into comic books, retweeting scenes, stuff like that, he shares a lot of comic book art, and I definitely appreciate that. I gotta give a shout out, I think on two channels, Mike, on both Instagram and YouTube, the user Electric. Don't know your real name. You got a picture of Danny Phantom on your YouTube, I'll tell you that right now. And he recommended watching Prison School to us, which is an anime. And as most of you may know, last week Dragon Ball Super wrapped up its whole run for me. So now I'm out of things to watch. On Sunday morning, that is, English and anime and stuff like that. So maybe I will go give this show a go-see. So to fill that
I'm looking at the show on Google Images, and there is I don't know, I have some questions basically after looking at some of these screenshots, but that is just anime and Japan in a nutshell of you don't really know what you're gonna get. And we'll throw the third shout out to Auldin Reynolds. So Auldin Reynolds and Electric actually both responded to my candy corn popcorn combo when I went to go see the Joker. So apparently we hyped candy corn up enough over the last couple of weeks to where it broke through and people just had to reach out and know. But I'm sure they listened to the Joker podcast, found out that candy corn and popcorn, not a bad combo. Check it out. Sweet and salty. Who would have thought?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I opened up the caramel candy corn earlier today, Mike, to give it a go. And it didn't really taste like caramel. So kudos to it for keeping it subtle, keeping it real on that kind of stuff. And I don't even like candy corn, so I had a little bit more. I, again, been one of those weeks. I've not got to watch anything at all. I've been doing a lot of other stuff, hanging out with people, doing things. Went to an orchard, and then did a fall fair. Had a bloomin' onion, one of my favorite things.
Oh, bloomin' onions.
What have you been up to, Mike?
Man, I just wanted to give a shout out to the show Primal, which is Genndy Tartakovsky's newest animated show. The guy who created Samurai Jack, Dexter's Lab. He did the 2D animated Clone Wars back when they were just a couple minutes long at the very beginning of that process. But he had a new show, Primal, which aired this week on Adult Swim, and I actually caught the very first episode at Comic-Con San Diego this year, so I haven't had a chance to watch the rest that aired this week. But apparently it's not a limited series, but the season was very short. It was only 5 episodes, and they aired Monday through Friday night on Adult Swim.
Oh, really?
So, I mean, I don't have cable, but I looked on Amazon Prime. I can just go on Amazon Prime and like buy all of these episodes for like, I think $12, which I might do because that first episode was amazing. It was phenomenal. So, if you have like a cable subscription, if you have access to the Cartoon Network or Adult Swim app, I don't really know which one, if they both connect to it, but go check out Primal. The first episode was amazing, so I'm sure the rest of it is great. So Primal, Adult Swim, that is my recommendation for the week, Chris.
Well, there you go. That is a great kickoff for the week, people, to get some recommendations in there and do that. But we're here to talk about some news, and I want to go ahead. We've talked about the casting of the Suicide Squad, I think, a couple weeks ago, and I gave Mike the task of looking at Arm Fall Off Boy at one point for Nathan Fillion.
Yeah.
And I think we've got some new images here that can possibly show some of these characters are, and I think I'm pretty sure that some of these characters are going to not live very long.
Man, I was not expecting like an actual gallery. This is like somebody got the telephoto lens out and filled up the entire memory card here for sure. This is a lot here.
Yeah, it is. This gallery is copyrighted. You can go take a look at it here. We're gonna go through some of it. I think on the first image, of course, you get to see, is that Pete Davidson? Is that his name from Saturday Night Live there? And a guy with a motion cap suit. The motion cap suit is James Gunn's brother, who plays Crag. Sean Gunn,
I believe.
Yes, who did an intro for our show back in November, whenever it was at Comic-Con. So he's obviously going to play some sort of CGI man, as usual. And then, Davidson there, Pete, he looks like maybe just a regular military man, I guess. Nothing really special about him. But then the next photo, you get to see a guy in a bright yellow and blue outfit and long wavy hair with a mask.
This looks like somebody who is ripped straight off of a comic book page. And then also it looks like he is he's joined with this woman who's in like a purple jumper and red skin. Looks like somebody that might know Gamora if she could cross universes,
Yeah, exactly. I don't know what's going on with her. She looks like maybe she'd be a villain in Guardians of the Galaxy for sure, like some space person. I thought for a second there the skin color and the outfit color looked like Starfire. Is that kind of like her colors from the show?
Yeah, it does look Starfire-esque.
And then the guy kind of looks like Booster Gold, even though I know it's not him, or someone from like a irredeemable comic book. And if we skip forward a couple, we get to see the return of Captain Boomerang and Nathan Fillion in a green outfit, not the genital colored one from the comic book Arm Fall Off Boy.
He looks more like an arm fall off man here. Yeah. If I had to make a guess here, so when James Gunn tweeted out the big cast list for Suicide Squad, he said something along the lines of don't get too precious with this casting.
Don't get
because
too
it sounds
attached.
Yeah. So it looks like some of these characters are going to die. So if I had to guess, just based off of the ludicrousness of what I'm looking at here, first of all, Arm Fall Off Boy. It's just a hilarious concept to begin with. We got some sort of CG character, Pete Davidson, which I just can't take seriously looking at him. I just feel like all of these characters are going to die. Just in one really funny opening scene, or at least half of them. Who knows? Maybe Jai Courtney makes that out alive. Maybe possibly Arm Fall Off Boy, because I feel like I would just like to see him through the whole movie because it would be hilarious. But some of these other characters just look a little too goofy, but who knows? So my theory is this is the one weekend of shooting that these people were hired for, and they're all going to die, much like, what was the climbing guy? The grappling hook dude? Slipknot. I feel like these people are going to go the way of Slipknot and go very quickly, but I feel like James Gunn will do it in a very hilarious way.
Yeah, if you keep going and look later, the guy in the blue and yellow, he's got like a huge spear in his hand. So I agree. I think these are like this is going to be like it opens like here's the Suicide Squad, here's your team members, and then they all end up it's dying just like out of Deadpool 2, all on Deadpool 2 when he did the X-Force thing.
Yeah, with the helicopter and the power lines and everything.
Yeah, they're like, okay, here's all your people, here's what they're doing. Oh, they're doing good, and they all maybe die except maybe Captain Boomerang, since I figured Jay Courtney's the biggest name, returning name here at least. As much as I'd love to see Arm Fall Off Boy again, he might just be more comedic relief for a little bit. But, yeah, I don't think he's gonna last very long. But these photos are pretty cool. You know, I like seeing the outfits and what they're doing.
It definitely looks like they're going for. This is going to be like, I feel like this is going to be like a comedy, much like a lot of other James Gunn properties. It's hard to imagine him taking this seriously, which I'm okay with.
Yeah, exactly. But I think he's going to be able to have a little more freedom of offing people than he did in Guardians of the Galaxy right off the bat with these characters. DC's not so precious. But we may see some of these characters, who knows, appear in Crisis on Infinite Earths because they're just piling everybody into this crossover. They got 5 episodes, right? And they're just gonna. How many? If you're a DC character, you're gonna show up in this. I don't care who you are. The upcoming crossover will reportedly feature Lucifer Morningstar from the show Lucifer, and he's been filming scenes with the characters Diggle, Mia Smoak, and the Constantine character from Legends of Tomorrow.
Sure. Why the heck not? Isn't he? Isn't that show coming up on like its last season on Netflix?
Yeah, season 5 on Netflix. Lucifer and Sandman, they were Vertigo properties, which is integrated into DC. So I could see why he's doing this. I don't know what his point is here. Like, are they all going to show up at the final? Are they going to try to pull an in-game final scene here, where they're like, Infinite Earths assemble, and they all go around here? I don't know. I think this is where, that's the least interesting one here. Actually, we've got some more interesting ones. Next up, we have Burt Ward, the Robin from Batman 66, filming with a dog who people assume is Ace the Bat-Hound as well. And Burt Ward's wearing his like a big, huge, looks like windbreaker that are Robin colored in the suit. So I don't think he's gonna be fighting or joining anybody here. But I mean, they definitely got him for an hour of filming with a dog.
Holy crossover, Batman! We'll just
exactly. So that's one. It's a shame they can't bring back Batman since we lost the actor Adam West a while back. But Burt Ward's a good thing. The other thing I was reading right before this here, apparently they're going to be referencing Batman 89 here by having Michael Keaton appear on a newspaper with one of the news reporter actors reading it, saying Bruce Wayne to wed Kyle, probably Selena, whoever was in the first Batman movie, in it, and that's their reference to the Michael Keaton Batman movies.
I like to imagine they're just there's no way we're getting Michael Keaton in this, but you know what? This is all under the Warner Brothers umbrella. I bet we can just get permission to use his photo and his likeness. So let's just put him on a newspaper. So this is funny. This is almost like creative problem solving. We're just gotta pack in as much as possible.
Yeah. Who do we not have here at this point is the question. And lastly, the Titans from the DC Universe show are scheduled to make an appearance as well, permitting on their filming schedule for their current show.
Wow. I mean, honestly, I wasn't expecting that. Obviously, we all know, yes, Mike has not watched any of the DC streaming stuff. Whack me with a ruler and do with what you will. But I was under the impression that Titans was kind of in this nebulous kind of TV universe where it's just we're not overtly saying they are or they aren't, in the same Arrowverse as all of these other characters. But I guess if you think about it, it's this whole multiverse situation. But I feel like the Titans could actually just properly slot into the Arrowverse, and they might not have to necessarily say oh, we're from another Earth. I can imagine the Flash just pointing wow, look at all these people from all these different Earths, and then the Titans are just no, dude, we're from down the street. This is our planet. It's oh, okay, well, come fight with us.
Yeah, I don't know if any of them have necessarily crossed over, maybe Donna Troy or any of the other ones have been in Arrow before, but I mean, multiverse, they can literally do anything. They're how many things can we tie into this one thing? They're doing what Marvel took 10 years to do in 5 episodes. So let's see how this plays off, Mike. Now you had my attention, but now you have my curiosity. I want to see how this works.
Now, I would hope, just because these CW shows, they all eventually get stale. No matter how strong they start off, after a couple seasons, you kind of just get into a rut of just telling kind of like the same stories of how can we introduce a big bad in the first episode of the season and then stretch them all the way out until you finally resolve it in episode like 23, which is just a lot of storytelling to stretch this bad guy out. So I'm kind of hoping this crisis will really affect all of the shows in a big way. Obviously, Arrow's ending, but I just kind of want to see a bit of a shakeup over there. Like, you know, the whole universe doesn't have to collapse in on itself and everything gets rebooted. But, you know, I honestly don't think it would be a bad idea if all of these shows maybe cut their schedules and went to just 12 episodes a season. I know that's like cutting a lot of work for people in Hollywood, and I'm not trying to be a douchebag about it, but you know, these seasons. I mean, we talk about like Daredevil having filler for being 13 episodes on Netflix. I mean, come on, if you watch a season of The Flash, there's like maybe 5 episodes that you have to really watch.
Well, they could do the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. approach, which is like 3 stories per season. They could do like little pods where it's like 3 bad people per season. And
yeah, I would be more down with that for sure, because I really felt this in some of the seasons of Arrows that I dropped off of. It's just like, how many times is Green Arrow gonna come across the bad guy? And we know he's not gonna beat him in episode 10. We know he's not gonna beat him in episode 16. He's not gonna beat him in episode 18. It's gonna be a couple more weeks until he finally beats him in the final episode. So yeah, the formula really starts to show after all those weeks.
Oh yeah. Well, maybe this will do something. I think, you know, if you remember, The Flash started off by saying the Flash has disappeared during a huge crisis or whatever. And I think they're going to tie that into this Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover. So the Flash may disappear for something. But I think that's like their best show right now, maybe, with Supergirl being second.
Yeah,
so
I feel like that's probably, it's been their top show for a while.
Maybe temporary disappearance, but who knows? We'll see what gimmicks they got. I'm excited. The John Wick spin-off universe, there's a movie coming out called Ballerina, which is going to focus on you saw the third one, right? With the little Angelica Houston ballerina thing. And they've hired Len Wisemen, who's known for his Underworld movies, to direct this little spin-off show, I guess, movie. I don't know if it's going to be a full series or not, but I know that they were working on a TV show for this. I did not know they were doing the Ballerina spinoff so quickly.
Yeah, this seems like one of those things where Hollywood is just very interested in a brand new original property that was just kind of grown out of the soil with tender love and care from a bunch of stunt people. And they're just like, oh, wow, a franchise? We were just used to the franchises that had existed. We didn't know people could just make new ones. So it just seems like they're just trying to pull whatever they can out of the John Wick universe. I like the idea of more of the Continental, just because it just seemed more interesting to me. The Ballerina stuff could be interesting. I'm not saying it couldn't, but I feel like in order for it to be tied to the John Wick universe, you're going to have to tie it into this whole kind of ritual of, you know, maybe the coins, the currency, the assassins.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Did not John Wick say he was raised by her?
Yeah, that's the thing. When I saw this bit of news, I was trying to reconcile with my memories of seeing the movie earlier this year. And yeah, I thought there was like some sort of like passage. Did he I don't remember if he gave them a coin or if he gave them some sort of keepsake he had.
Yeah, it was like a cross of some kind. Yeah. And then they had to like destroy it or something, so they couldn't give it to anybody else again.
Yeah. And I thought I heard, wasn't there like a rumor of like some sort of like another spinoff of like these homeless people that aren't homeless, but they control like the underground of the cities. So I feel like there's a lot of factions that maybe you could kind of carve off, but I'm not holding my breath until I see something yet. You know, that seems like a streaming TV series makes more sense in the economics of Hollywood right now. So I'll kind of wait for that Continental series that, I don't know, I think maybe it was supposed to go to HBO, but I have a feeling this is just like a rumor that's floating around.
Well, wait, what's a rumor?
The Ballerina stuff. I mean, I suppose if it's reported, that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to come to fruition.
He's been hired to direct it. I mean, it's farther along than the Continental is, I think, to me. I mean, if they've got a director, I don't know who the showrunner is for the other one. We speaking it of nebulous terms here and there. I mean, I would much rather, I agree with you, see the world be built out on its day-to-day operations rather than this one kind of, I guess, offshoot of where assassins are trained. To me, this does not seem like, what was that movie, Red Swan or whatever, Jennifer
Jennifer Lawrence, yeah,
which is just another Red Room, which is the Black Widow movie. Like, does this not scream Black Widow again? That they're trying to go for here a little bit. But I agree. I would like to see the other shows maybe delve into like how does the world exist, because literally every one of those movies is a hitman. If you just watch them, like you want to walk by 5 people on the street, one of them's probably a hitman. Your taxi driver, he definitely takes your golden coins. He's a hitman too. So I'd like to see what that world looks like as a whole, rather than just like this one little movie that looks like it's probably going to look like every other movie we've come across.
I just checked IMDb, and the Continental is listed in there. There is no other information attributed it. So if you have IMDb Pro, maybe go check it out, see if you can get any more information out of it than I could. But it seems like we're going to be getting something outside of Keanu Reeves eventually.
Yeah, he's going to run out of straight line movies to do, for sure. For this, he's doing video games now. Whatever. What is that? Cyberpunk. Yeah, looks pretty fun. Later this month, I can't believe it's already October. I can't believe we're halfway through October, Mike. Holy hell. Later this month, the final trailer for Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker is rumored to drop on October 21st, so 1 week from tomorrow, which is halftime during Monday Night Football and the late Carrie Fisher's birthday.
Of course, it has to air the day after we record the podcast, so 2 weeks until you hear our reactions about the trailer. But
you know what that means, though.
It makes sense. It seems like November would kind of be too late to start airing a trailer since this movie is in December. But I'm hoping this gets me hype. I got to see the trailer with the switchblade lightsaber in front of the Joker. So it was the first time I got to see it like on a big screen, and that got me pretty excited. So we'll see if we can pull any story points out of this and maybe start to cross off our bingo card that we made a couple weeks ago. So this is like your final warning, basically. Make your Star Wars bingo card and see if you can predict what we might get in this final Skywalker chapter.
Yeah. The source for this has usually been reliable on trailer dates in the past, so that's why we're pretty solid on it. But I'm going to tell you, because it's October 21st, less than 2 months before the movie, guess what they're going to do? Tickets are going to go on sale.
No, I mean, they've done this before. I not just Star Wars, but I distinctly remember seeing trailers that premiere during a major sporting event, whether it's NBA or NFL, where it announces tickets on sale. So, I mean, get yourself ready, get yourself prepared, because usually Star Wars ticket sales will crash ticketing websites. So, make sure you got your bookmarks ready. Get your apps prepared, because if maybe the website's not working, go try the app, because usually those things possibly run on different servers. So just prepare yourselves.
Yeah, exactly. Have your bank account ready, because you're not going to want to wait. If you wait a day, you won't get in the first day for this final Star Wars movie. This is 9 of 9. Like, they're not going to mess around on this one.
Yeah, and I imagine they push that verbiage a lot in this trailer of like the final, the end, it's here, get your tickets, give us your money.
Yeah, and people will be like, well, it's 2 months early. You think they really will? Yeah, I think they will. I 100% think they will sell tickets 2 months early to rack up the box office and the numbers early for this movie, because they want to close their bank accounts for the end of the year and be like, we're done. We made all the money. If any movie can break Endgame's record this year, it is this one.
Man, I'm just kind of reminiscing on the time when I got my tickets for The Force Awakens and how much Star Wars we have gotten between Episode 7 and Episode 9, because even before Episode 9, we're going to be getting The Mandalorian. So we've had so much of like upswell of Star Wars. I feel like it doesn't feel as special anymore, but at the very least, it's impressive how much they've been able to crank out in between these three movies.
I mean, I know you're not a Star Wars book reader, but there's been a ton of books coming out lately, and a whole new video game this year as well with the Fallen Order game. So there's a lot of Star Wars content in the past several years. So Be ready for this. Be ready for that trailer. Be ready to buy your tickets. Don't mess around. Now we're going to go into this weird section of the show where we had all these trailers this week for a bunch of weird stuff that I wanted to get Mike's opinion on. Because one of my favorite rides at Disney World is the Jungle Cruise. It is a fantastic ride. And they turned that into a movie.
I'm glad that you went on the ride because I was told that there's some bits in this trailer that make reference directly to the ride itself. And they went totally over my head, like the backside of water gag. Yeah. Which seems very out of place in the trailer, and I just kind of like, what was that? And then I had to go through the comments on the internet to be like, apparently that happens on the ride.
Yeah, because you go under a real waterfall in the ride, and they're like, and now look to your left, and it's the backside of water because you're under the waterfall. The trailer doesn't show that off very well. So yeah, like I thought it was interesting that in this trailer, The Rock is essentially faking a jungle cruise with all these props and puppets, which I think is fun because that's exactly what the Disney ride is. And then Emily Blunt is essentially a female Indiana Jones taking him on an adventure. Is this the Mummy for 2020?
I got similar vibes. So I feel like when it comes to live action Disney movies, like just purely Disney, I'm not talking live action MCU or Star Wars, just Disney proper. I feel like it's a sliding scale. We're gonna be talking about, I guess, spoilers here in a second. We're gonna be talking about Dr. Dolittle. Is that Disney or did I just make that up?
It's gotta be Disney, right? It's gotta be.
Yeah, it looks so Disney. So on this sliding scale of how live action Disney this is, I feel like Jungle Cruise kind of is landing like somewhere in the middle. It doesn't seem too crazy computer generated. I feel like I'm getting vibes of when I go to Disneyland and I see the jungle Indiana Jones area, especially the interior shots. I think those are the shots that I actually enjoyed the most. The trailer opens up with Emily Blunt like trying to steal something from like this office. What is this, like 1920s era? Is that what we want to say?
It looks like 20s to 30s.
Yeah. So she's trying to steal something from this office, and then there's some like wacky like situations. I was like, okay, I'm digging this. This kind of gives me a little bit of like an Indiana Jones vibe a little bit. And then there's some interior shots in the jungle where you're kind of seeing these kind of like old glass windows that you see on doors that for like detectives, and I like kind of like that vibe that we're getting from the prop and the set design. I just hope it just doesn't end up being generic. It looks like it could be fun. One thing that I was totally shocked, I saw some people saying, oh, has it been long enough now till we can finally have another Haunted Mansion movie? And I was like, wait a minute, they made a Haunted Mansion movie? Yeah. And then I had to Google it, and I was like, oh, I vaguely remember this Eddie Murphy Haunted Mansion movie, and I was like, did they pump this out right after Pirates of the Caribbean, thinking that they may strike gold twice? And I was surprised they both came out the same year, which means Disney was just like, hey, let's try to make movies out of our theme parks. You go make Pirates of the Caribbean, you go make Haunted Mansion, let's see what happens. And it was just Pirates of the Caribbean at the end of the year.
We'll talk about how Eddie Murphy can ruin movies here in a little bit. It's similar with the next one that we're going to talk about. But like, I think there are very few. Whenever I was younger and I went to Disney, Jungle Cruise was closed down when I couldn't ride on it. But I purposely went multiple times the past 2 times I've gone because it is so fun and just enjoyable, and it's full of bad puns. And if you know me, Mike, what do I enjoy most in the world?
Oh, you love your puns.
I do love a bad joke. So I definitely think it's full of it. There's full of it here. The Rock, always charismatic as usual. It looks like what is it? His other movie that's coming out this year, Jumanji Light.
Jumanji, yeah. That seemed to be the top comment of everybody this week of how many jungle movies is The Rock gonna do? And I'm not saying it's not an interesting observation, but that observation was made like earlier this year when like set photos for Jungle Cruise came out. Yeah. People already started putting that stuff together, so it's already been out there. And also, he was in a movie in the early 2000s called The Rundown where he's in the jungle. So it's like, all right, people, the observation is now done. Get your memes out there. They're about to expire.
Yeah, and Moana probably had jungles in it. I don't know.
Yeah, that's true.
Either way, I think it looks fine. Of the Disney movies they put out, this one looks like it's above the bar. It's not the one that's going to fail horribly.
Cautiously optimistic.
Yeah, I agree. Another movie I don't know how to feel about because I simply think Pixar does not know how to cut a trailer to save their life.
Yes.
Is Onward, the upcoming Tom Holland and Chris Pratt Pixar film where they play. Are they're elves? Is that right? Magical elves or
sure.
Something in a modern world.
You brought up something very true. That's one thing that I have learned in the course of making this show over the last couple of years is now that like trailers just are more critically analyzed. Pixar can't cut a trailer very well, but I can say I was not expecting a topless dad in this trailer of just the legs down. So that actually kind of made me interested because I was just like, somebody sat down and wrote this screenplay and was like, I'm going to have a character who is only legs for pretty much the entire movie. And I have a feeling we're not going to see the top of that dad until the very end of the third act. Right. So I love the idea of just like not only are they going to be playing with this idea of like, what is it like in magic in the modern world where people it's not special anymore. It's going to be kind of like when the Flintstones use dinosaurs, to as a garbage disposal. It's going to be like people using like magic, I don't know, to change the channel on the TV or whatever. So I like the idea of not only are they playing with that, with like unicorns eating out of garbage, but also, we're also going to have like this, these appendages just running around the whole movie. So I feel like there could be something unique out of this because it's starting to seem just weird enough.
Well, it is. It's very, it was unexpected, I guess. When I saw the first trailer for Onward, I'm like, oh, this is going to be very predictable kind of movie. Like you have the Jack Black-esque, big brother who drives a van around and they're on a quest to do something. And then the timid little brother who's like probably very scholarly based is like, I don't want to be here, but I have to save the day.
And looks just like the character from Ratatouille, the human character.
So by combining this with a story of how they're bringing their dead dad back for a day to talk to him with his magic staff, and they only get halfway done, is very enthralling here. I'm like, well, this is going to be great.
Yeah, I hope you're ready to cry because I feel like this is just going to be a ball fest for sure. I mean, I've been lucky enough to never have any of my parents die yet. I mean, I don't know why I'm saying it like that. Jesus. That seems like that seems so morbid. I mean, it's just the state of being human. But I have had very close people in my life who have lost a parent early in their childhood at very critical times, and they would just do absolutely anything. They would give up anything in the world just to have a chance to talk to him again. So I can't imagine like this happening to these characters in this movie. Like we all know we're going to be crying our eyes out in that third act. So very, very, very interesting, interesting idea.
And the voices, again, Tom Holland, our own Spider-Man, Chris Pratt, our own Star-Lord, their voices line up with these characters so well already that you're like, I'm buying into the characers. Like, it's not a big wall. Like, I know who I'm listening to, but it doesn't distract me from what I'm watching.
You know, now that I think about it, these three trailers that we're talking about right now all have a through thread. They all have a Venn diagram some way, because Tom Holland I also saw on the list of the actors for the next movie that we're talking about.
Exactly. So the next movie, it is not Disney. This is actually Universal. I just Googled it.
Oh, wow. This is the most Disney live-action movie trailer I've ever seen, and it's not Disney.
It is. The trailer for the upcoming movie Dolittle, the retelling, the third iteration of Dr. Dolittle, has debuted, featuring Robert Downey Jr. in the title role, where I think he's just playing Sherlock who talks to animals.
But I think he has an Irish accent that he's putting on. He talks a little bit in this trailer, but he's very soft-spoken, so it's kind of hard to pick up on. But I was very wary at the very beginning of this trailer, because you see things like from the creators of Alice in Wonderland, and I was like, oh, that's not good. And then I think there was another credited movie at the top that also I wasn't too enthralled with. And I think I saw a tweet earlier today from a movie reviewer that mentioned that this movie was in production hell for a while. Apparently, this had bounced around for a little bit. But this is very computer graphics forward for sure, where everything that's living on the screen is generated by a computer, it seems like.
So let me go ahead and say I'm biased. Have you ever seen the 1967 Dr. Dolittle movie?
No, I have not.
It is a musical movie done by Fox. The animals don't talk, but the doctor, he talks to them and he kind of translates what they're doing, kind of thing.
It's like a Chewbacca situation.
Yes, and it is very, very funny. It's very unique and original. I really enjoy this movie. It's on my online server, Mike. I recommend you watch it sometime if you can.
Right.
Then comes along Eddie Murphy in the 90s, where he takes all these old movies from the 60s and redoes them for the 90s as comedies, right? And just... Yep. I mean, the first Dr. Dolittle is funny, but the animals talking kind of takes me out of it. They do like 5 extra sequels after that one. Then comes along this one where the animals are talking again, and I'm like, I don't like it. I'm not sold on this. I love Robert Downey Jr. I think he's great. I think there's a huge cast list in here. Antonio Banderas is the villain. Michael Sheen is another human character. But then we have, so far as John Cena as a voice, okay? Ray Fiennes, Selena Gomez, Tom Holland, Rami Malek, Kumail Nanjiani, Craig Robinson, Octavia Spencer, Emma Thompson, all these big names, right?
I feel like John Cena is going to be the polar bear. I don't know. I saw a polar bear in the trailer.
He is the polar bear.
Oh, really? Wow! That was just a shot in the dark. Holy shit!
Yeah. And his name is Yoshi, which I'm like, well, that's a Mario character, but whatever. So this movie, it's not hitting for me. And then there was the nail in the coffin. And you know what the nail in the coffin is for this movie, Mike?
What's that, Chris?
January 2020. If you put something out in January, guess what? Done.
I mean, I won't totally say that January is a dead month. All it's going to take is one movie to change the month of January. I don't think this is going to be it, but I theoretically think at some point in time a studio could take a chance, put a movie out in January, and it could change the whole narrative of that month. But watching this trailer, I get like Wrinkle in Time vibes from it. I get what was it? Not the Day After Tomorrow. I get Tomorrowland vibe. I'm getting all of these vibes of just like
a high budget movie that's gonna just fall.
or like Pan, if you like. It just looks like why is there just so much computer thrown at this? Like it seems like there's gonna be this sentimentality to it because there was this kind of like. There was a chorus. I don't remember what song it was. It was like a Wonderful World that was kind of like remixed to like a children's choir or whatever. I don't know. This all of this going on here. This is not vibing with me. I don't think I'm going to see it.
Yeah, I really want to watch it, but like, there's nothing here that's going to make me like, oh my gosh, they're going to take what I love to make it better and evolve it. Even with Robert Downey Jr. trying to, act his way as this heartfelt.
Yeah. The Robert Downey Jr. edge seems strange to me because I would just imagine after making these big studio kind of tentpole movies for just years, decades now, I feel like Robert Downey Jr. would have, I don't know, the next movie he would have made might have been more of a dramatic role or maybe more of an indie movie. I don't know. He's got all the money he needs in the world. It seems like he would start picking his projects maybe a little differently, but who knows? If this movie is coming out so soon after Endgame, less than a year later, he probably was working on this, very quickly before he went through maybe the kind of the exit interview of the MCU.
Well, I've got it pulled up here, just because I was looking up. The production of this was actually May of 2018, and it was supposed to release with in the window of Endgame to piggyback on that, but they had to do reshoots and pushed it way back almost a year for it.
Ooh,
so
that's not good.
No, not good.
A good sign.
Not good at all. I'm not gonna tell anyone not to go see it, but I mean, we're not barking at the tree to go see this one, even with my affinity. To switch gears a little bit to another trailer that looks a little more less tug on the heartstrings, if you will. Rick and Morty season 4 debuted a trailer showing 5 episodes starting November 10th.
I'm wondering if I think this is the first time they've done this. Are they just going to maybe split it up into parts? I guess maybe they'll do 5 episodes pre holidays and then maybe 5 episodes after the holidays. I would imagine maybe the back half maybe comes in maybe in February.
Yeah, probably to do this a little bit, because I think the one thing is, I know that they signed up for 7 more seasons when they last signed up, and there was such a long pause in between seasons, everyone was like getting anxious, and then they didn't have the whole McDonald's Szechuan sauce fiasco. And, the people who watch Rick and Morty are the worst.
But that seems to be a very pervasive opinion on the internet, that Rick and Morty fans are a little outlandish, and I totally agree. Yeah. Which is why I usually keep Rick and Morty at an arm's length. I'm a huge fan of the show. I think I've said it on the show before. Everything about Rick and Morty is everything that I love, like science fiction, meta humor, animation, adult animation. Like, I just love all of these things. It's like the perfect show to me, but I love it so much. I hate the fans. I just have to keep it at this arm's length of like, I don't really watch the trailers. I don't hype it up too much. Usually I don't even watch it when it airs. I just try to catch it maybe when the season's over, and then of course, I love it every time I watch it.
Yeah.
So, weird relationship with Rick and Morty, but yeah, I'm excited for it.
Yeah, it's like I want to say I like it, and I want to tell people I like it and to watch it, but then I'm like, I don't want to be associated with the people who watch it, so I'm like, I think I'll just pump the brakes a little bit. So
yeah, I want people to like me.
Yeah, but this looks entertaining. As usual, more of the same. That's what I'm looking forward to. So that's what we can look forward to. Now we're on the back half of the show. We're going to talk a little bit about Marvel. Last week we talked about Spider-Man being brought back into the MCU. Thank God. Praise the Lord. We have him back. And the new rumor says Disney doesn't want to share anymore. They just want to buy Spider-Man back. And well, we've said this how many times this rumor pops up every year now? It seems like, it feels like so. They're like, just buy it back. Well, right now, it was previously rumored that they wanted like $15 billion for Spider-Man rights, which is way too much. Well, now they're back in the more realistic ballpark of like $4 to $5 billion for the rights. And do you think Disney would shell that out for Spider-Man?
Well, so this is news to me. So obviously, I think it was just kind of a standing fact ever since the MCU was formed that at any given time, Disney would like to buy Spider-Man back. No one is surprised that Disney and Marvel want to do that. But I've never really heard numbers floated around. I guess maybe I was off the internet the day the $15 million, billion dollar, $1 million, whatever it was, floated around. But this one sounds a little bit more realistic just because they paid just over $4 billion for Star Wars. They paid a little bit more for Marvel Entertainment. So now this kind of just seems within the ballpark of their acquisitions. But now you start to say, is the character itself, Spider-Man, and all of his ancillary characters worth it compared to when you bought Star Wars? You bought this whole legacy franchise and this huge fan base that came along with it. And when you bought Marvel Entertainment, you bought like basically the entire comic book catalog. So Spider-Man is just a fraction of all of the characters that come with the MCU. So you start to do all the math in your head. You start to do the conversions of just like, well, how many Spider-Man characters is it? Is that like 10% of the MCU catalog? What is exactly going on here? But I almost kind of look at it from the other direction. Would Sony give up Spider-Man for $5 billion? Because I feel like if Sony is looking at it from a pure transactional point of view of we're a business that's trying to make money, I feel like if they just kept Spider-Man for eternity, which I don't want them to do, they could easily make $5 billion just, and more than that, just of the lifetime of owning this character. So I'm just trying to think, what leverage does Disney have as opposed to just money? Is there some sort of deal where they're just like, well, we'll buy Spider-Man, but we'll let you retain the animated movie rights so you can keep making the Spider-Verse stuff? I'm just kind of confused of just like, Sony's just got so much power here of having this crazy legal contract of we just have Spider-Man forever now. Sorry. It's just weird for me to imagine them giving it up for any reason.
Well, I think the thing is, I'm not going to do the math here. The first Spider-Man movie to break $1 billion was this year, right? With Homecoming. And I'm trying to figure out here what the worldwide, it has only ever made, looks like $6 billion. Ever. And that's including the first Spider-Man and Into the Spider-Verse. So if they've only made $6 billion across 20 something years, what is their value of like what they're paying the people to work on it, the marketing dollars? Are they really making that money? How much of that's coming back to them in terms of production and everything. So is it? Yeah, we may look at they brought in $6 billion, but how much of it is keeping in their pockets?
And also, you can correct me if I'm wrong. They don't get any of the merchandising.
They have
Disney
no
makes
merchandise. Yep.
Yeah, so I guess if you think about it, if you take all of the box office dollars and distill it down to actual return on investment, yeah, they could kind of look at it as maybe more work than it's worth. So honestly, it could come down to something as much as just a high level executive. Maybe just the CEO of like Sony Pictures is just like, hey, I'm going to be retiring maybe in a couple years, or maybe I want to move somewhere else. Maybe I'll just sell off this asset for $5 billion. I'll pad the spreadsheet of my tenure here. I'll get like a big bonus and then I'll leave. It could be something as just like as human as
we've
that.
Talked about this before with the president of Sony, or I think whatever, wanting to focus more on products and less movie production going forward. So they've talked about even selling out Columbia Pictures as a whole before, and we've mentioned that. So Columbia Pictures as a whole, while they have like James Bond and a couple other smaller franchises, sell Spider-Man, keep making your little ones, and that way you're not, because to market Spider-Man is a huge expense. There's no way you sprinkle a little bit of marketing on Spider-Man, because can you imagine all of the, like, when a movie comes out, how much cups and little things, like things that aren't merchandise for Disney, are being done out there.
I always think of the cutie oranges. Like, I always find it bizarre and hilarious when like a big franchise is marketing on the cutie oranges at the grocery store. So yeah, Spider-Man on the cutie oranges. Like, that's a big. So I think, to answer your question, I think Spider-Man is worth $4 to $5 billion. It seems high, but for what Marvel can do with that character. Now, if you think of like Warner Brothers, I don't think there's any world where Warner Brothers buys Spider-Man. I don't think that's possible. But I don't think it's as worthwhile for a studio like Warner Brothers. Just like, well, what are we going to do with the character? We obviously could make money off. I could make money off Spider-Man. I don't know how I would do it, but if I had the rights to him, I'd figure it out. I don't know how I'd do it. I'm just one man. But there's a way to pull money out of Spider-Man, but I think Disney could get the most out of it.
Well, and if you look at the totals for the Marvel-only movies Spider-Man's been in, he has made over $5 billion in, if you include Endgame, Infinity War, and Civil War all together. So
now, if I turn off the evil capitalistic mind switch in my head, where I'm worried about Disney having all these properties and then also bowing down to Chinese censors, and I would be worried about them of possibly having the James Bond franchise, because you'll never see like a Chinese villain in a Bond movie if Disney owns it, because they want to make sure that movie can air in China. So if I turn all of that anxiety off in my mind, I would just love to see everybody on this show who listens to the show knows that I want Norman Osborn as a big integral part to the MCU. And that, I feel like, is just not going to happen until Disney is for sure confident that they're never going to have to worry about Spider-Man again.
Yeah, and even if they just buy Spider-Man out, like you said, lifetime value of Spider-Man so far has been $6 billion. They get $4 billion right now. They don't have to wait 20 more years to see that revenue, which would maybe be 40 more years of actual work. So,
and hey, maybe Sony needs the money. Maybe they want that money to launch a streaming service.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Or build more TVs.
Yeah.
So
there you go.
I think it'd be a great deal. I think it'd be great. And, if we have them all in one place, Mike, guess what? We don't have to worry about covering multiple studios, covering multiple deals, and those deals breaking down and then coming back together. It would just be very much like, here's the Marvel universe going forward, and all the characters exist and play nicely in it. So that's the dream, Mike. That's what we can only hope for. But yeah, I mean, like you said, again, like my notes here, they bought Disney for less than $4 billion, I think. So all these other characters have made the money. They can turn a profit off Spider-Man easily from that. Speaking of characters named after bugs, Ant-Man, people are asking, where's Ant-Man 3? Why is it not on the calendar? Why is it not in Phase 3? That's fine. Pump your brakes, people. We don't need Ant-Man 3 right away. But Kevin Feige has said lately that the chess pieces were arranged very purposefully after Endgame. So all the people are where they need to be after Endgame.
Oh, so not literal chess pieces.
Correct. The characters were put where they needed to be.
I was trying to think of like, was there a chessboard? Was this an Easter egg that I missed?
No, you're going way too literal. But like, so at the end of Endgame, we see Scott Lang with his grown-up daughter Cassie Lang, and then the Wasp, Evangeline Lilly, is Hope Van Dyne. So I definitely think we might see his daughter and them appear in an Ant-Man 3. We might see like maybe her return to stature. Maybe we get to see was it Michelle Pfeiffer's return as the original Wasp, and maybe some of her microverse powers she has that we don't quite know what they are.
I wouldn't be terribly upset if they went with a different director. I'm sure Peyton Reed is a nice guy. You know, I wish him the best in the world. He's been nice enough to go on the Screen Junkie show, which I really like on YouTube. So I'm sure he's great. But I just was not a big fan of Ant-Man 2 the more that I think about it. So I would love maybe a little bit of a switch up. But maybe just in general, the story of the MCU is enough to kind of change up what Peyton Reed could do in the third one. So
microverse. Go to the microverse.
I mean, I love Paul Rudd. He's got like this new limited Netflix series coming out that's being advertised around town. I have no idea what it's about, but there's 2 of them. There's 2 Paul Rudds on the poster, so I don't know if it's a cloning situation or if he's got an imaginary friend or a twin brother. Yeah, maybe it's like a subtle Gemini Man.
The comedy version.
But we all know I love Paul Rudd.
Yeah, exactly. I got my photo with him this year at his first Comic-Con. I'm looking at it right now. So I think they could do more with Ant-Man than just, you know, a heist about shrinking technology, because they've done 2 of those in a row at this point.
Beginning. I want more big stuff happening.
Mike wants big stuff, man. He wants to see the big things on screen. That's some of the best parts of Endgame's battle. When
go big or go home,
Giant Man's punching those space worms out of the sky that they could barely beat in Avengers 1.
So cool.
That is pretty cool. Every other couple months, we always talk about Nova joining the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and yet here we are again talking about him joining the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The character is rumored to debut in Phase 5 of the MCU. Other characters that are slated to debut in Phase 5 include Blade, the Fantastic Four, and the X-Men so far. This could also be a Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 kind of rumor, because he would be tied into that somewhere.
I mean, it makes total sense to have Nova come out of that situation. Curious. We have that whole hanging chat of Adam Warlock. We saw him in Volume 2. We don't know what that guy's up to, so who knows? But yeah, Nova's a cool character. I wonder what angle they're gonna go with it.
Yeah, if they go with the Annihilation thing, and he's like, or no, not the Annihilation thing, the Endgame thing, because he's maybe the last living Nova Corps person, because Xandar was blown up. Maybe he's got the helmet with all the knowledge in it. That'd be cool. They did that in a comic book called Annihilation. So I'd be down with that, where he's the last Nova and has to go around, you know, maybe kicking off the Nova Corps again. I don't know. I'd watch it. Let's check that out.
Yeah, I mean, now that I think about it, in Captain Marvel, I don't think I was the biggest fan of how they kind of explained like space armies or like space troops.
If they explained it at all, but yes.
Yeah, I didn't really know what was going on. Like obviously I can imagine a universe where like worlds are in conflict with each other, but I was never really sure like who's the good guys, who are the bad guys, what are the Nova Corps like doing? Are the Nova Corps just like a bunch of goody two-shoes in the MCU, or are they like Switzerland? What's going on here? So if they're doing a Nova movie, like maybe just really drill in and like give me some context of what's going on in this galaxy, you know?
Yeah. Well, with the 5-year time jump and, you know, a lot of things being blown up and brought back to life, that'd be a good time for them to be like, here's the status quo of the space world. And maybe he does show up in Captain Marvel too, not Guardians 3. That'd be a good one. We can look at that. Black Widow, first movie next year for Marvel. Some promo art leaks, Mike's favorite time of the show, where we get some promo art leaks.
I love promo leaks.
So we got one looking at a good suit of Scarlett Johansson in a Black Widow suit that looks like every other Black Widow movie she's in when she has red hair.
Yep.
Big surprise there. But also we get our good look at Taskmaster here, with the 3 prong on the shield and the sword and the mask and the
man, that
hood.
That is the spitting image of recent Taskmasters that we've had, and I'm pulling mainly from video games, from the Spider-Man video game, and also from the extended trailers for the Avengers game that's coming out that we got first look at Comic-Con this year. So yeah, this is very much Taskmaster. I'm always curious how they explain uniforms and costumes in a somewhat grounded in reality world of the MCU. MCU. Like, so this Taskmaster, he's got a shield, he's got a sword, he's got a mask, but also for some reason he has a hood. So like, it's just kind of like when you saw that Halo trailer back in the day where Master Chief has a hood on, and it's just like, why? So I'm just kind of looking for, I wonder what the explanation here is. Maybe you can give me some backstory if you know. Is Taskmaster's origin rooted in Russia at all, or like the Soviet Union, or in any way?
No, not really. He's just kind of a mercenary who has the ability to photographically remember anyone's moves and imitate those like immediately afterwards. And he sometimes teaches people, teaches classes like villains how to do moves better. I'm also banking that Taskmaster is a woman under that suit, not a man.
But didn't we see his character without the mask riding in a Link tank photo, and it was a dude?
No, there's no mask. It looks like Lord Zed from Power Rangers.
Maybe you're right. Yeah, I guess it might be a woman.
I think it would make more sense. Like, they're gonna pull. I think they're gonna pull a Winter Soldier on us again, where they did the commercials with him with the black eye paint on, so you don't know it's Bucky unless you read the comic books forever. So they're going to be like, oh, it's a man chasing her the whole time. And then it's like, oh my God, it was actually one of the other Black Widows. Oh my God, they got us good. We didn't see that coming.
They got us good.
Oh, except for that one time on Superhero Slate where Chris totally told us it was a woman and it was coming to get us.
This is just a ballpark just guess out of nowhere, and if it's right, I get points, and if not, it doesn't matter because this is from out of left field. But I'm gonna guess somebody cloned Black Widow, and she is fighting her own clone. So that's I think that would make the reason.
Today. You've mentioned clones no less than 3 times today. So,
well, hashtag clones.
What if it's Rachel Weisz?
Rachel
the
Weisz.
Actress from
Give me some context here.
The Mummy. She's in this.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, I just think that the frame looks smaller than a man, but I could be wrong. I could be proven wrong. Who am I to judge at this point? So, but yeah. So there's some promo arts if you want to look what Taskmaster looks like with the iconic suit. The Eternals is currently filming underway, and Kit Harington is there doing the interviews, doing the rounds, and he is saying that he in Eternals is playing a superhero and he's got a sword. And that means he's the Black Knight, which we all kind of knew. So
that pretty much confirms it.
That what he did in Game of Thrones too.
Yeah, that's what he did in Game of Thrones. He was a dude with a sword. Do we have any confirmation of any sort of time period that this movie is supposed to take place in? I suppose the movie could open up in a time period and then evolve into the present, but I wasn't sure if we've had any time period laid down.
It does span thousands of years because they are Eternals, but all the filming has been in modern times right now, like modern suits, modern everything. What didn't you also give me a picture of them in a jean jacket?
Yeah, I came across a set photo of one of the other Stark kids, Rob Stark. I don't remember the actor's name, but he is in this movie, and he was all denimed up in a Canadian tuxedo on some set photos. They had him on some wires, so I don't know if they were throwing him through the air, or if he's a character that flies. I suppose he could fly.
I think he flies. I think he's Icarus. I think he flies.
Yeah. So I showed the photo to my wife because he's all denimed up, and I was like, is this reminiscent of a time period to you, or does this look like it could be modern clothing? So if she says that the jeans that he's wearing look kind of like skinny jeans, so that could set him more in modern times possibly. But I could also see it being reminiscent of, it kind of reminds me of Arnold in the Terminator movies when he beats up the biker bar and then he gets all denimed out on himself. So it could be maybe tying to the 80s a little bit, or who knows, maybe he's just rocking maybe when the Eternals comes out, maybe just Disney's guessing denim will be the new fashion trend, and they want to be on brand.
Well, it says a Canadian tuxedo, but the more I look at it, he looks like what was that actor, James Dean? Was that it?
Oh, yeah, he looks a little James Dean-esque. Yeah, I remember
James Dean-esque could be 50s, right? White shirt, jean jacket, rolled up sleeves. I mean, who knows? I mean, it's hard to tell what's going on with this movie, but he's got a white thing on his hair, like a male rogue. So I don't know what's going on there. But Eternals, next November, a little over a year away. WandaVision, the weirdest titled show, again, we'll say that every time. The studio is looking to cast babies to show up as the younger versions of Speed and Wiccan, the children of the Scarlet Witch in the comic books.
Okay.
And they are rumored to grow up rapidly in her quote-unquote vision, but somehow become real and part of the MCU afterwards.
Okay, so it sounds like we're getting a little bit more confirmation of all is not maybe what it seems when this airs. Yeah, who knows? I mean, I would say the Scarlet Witch in the comics is very, very infamously known for having basically a mental breakdown. So it seems like they got to explore that, right?
Yeah.
In some way in this show.
Yeah, I mean, she's got reality-altering powers at some point. So I think they're gonna have to see what this vision is, whether it's her vision or it's Wanda's vision is what it's called, rather than, and it deals with the vision, and there's a big play on words and we're all missing it. I don't know. It's very interesting. I think, if they bring her children in, Speed is essentially Quicksilver and Wiccan is a younger version of, like a child version of Scarlet Witch. So, I mean, if they want to bring a speedster back in, this is their opportunity to do so without,
Young Avengers. She's gonna create the Young Avengers with her mind.
That seems the way they're kind of going on Disney Plus, doesn't it? Because this would be a Disney Plus show. Well, other than that, I mean, She-Hulk is a Disney Plus show coming out, and the rumor is they're looking to bring in Liv Tyler back as Betty Ross for this Disney Plus show. And
we haven't seen her forever.
And reprise her role from the 2008 Incredible Hulk. That would be the second character, I think, to come out of there, right? Because her dad, Thunderbolt Ross, has been in a lot of other stuff lately.
I mean, I don't remember what Liv Tyler's role in the movie was, except for love interest. Was she a scientist?
Yeah, a little bit of a scientist, yeah. Because she worked in the same department as he did when he blew it up and turned into the Hulk.
Maybe I could see her as possibly being like a liaison or something like that to whoever She-Hulk is, or maybe this is as obvious as it sounds, and maybe Liv Tyler is going to be She-Hulk.
No, so Betty Ross has sometimes turned into Red She-Hulk in the books, but with this, the She-Hulk is normally Bruce Banner's cousin, Jennifer Walters. And if Betty still has blood samples from that first movie and she needs a blood infusion like she got in the comic books, this might be a chance to bring those Hulk sample blood fusions in to save her life and give her those green powers.
All right.
It's a stretch.
Well,
I know. I don't know.
I did a cursory Google, and it looks like Liv Tyler is in her 40s. So I don't know if that's past the age of what they want to cast for She-Hulk, but I'm excited to see Liv Tyler come back. I've always enjoyed her.
Yeah, I agree. Well, other than that, I guess if we remember correctly, Marvel TV is still making shows as well. At least one show.
Oh.
Maybe could be exciting news later. Right now, I have no context, nothing to base this around. But the Helstrom show, debuting on Hulu, has finally announced its cast members, at least a lot of them. But we're gonna look at the main ones here, with Tom Austin, who was in The Royals, and Sidney Lemon from Fear the Walking Dead were cast as Damon and Anna Helstrom, respectively. So I don't know who these people are.
I love how you always save the last segment of the show to either just be a really weird, nebulous thing that we don't really have any opinion on, and we're just like, okay, they're making a Helstrom show on Hulu. We'll see how that goes. It seems like if you want prime USDA choice Marvel, it's gonna be on Disney Plus. So I don't know what Jeff Loeb is doing over there at Marvel TV. I don't know why Disney can't just like lock down these weird, bizarre shows. I don't know. I guess I don't want to be too critical, because if I had my way, Legion, that show never would have been made, and I know people love it and it's great and it gets good reviews, and I'm glad that show exists. But like Helstrom, I don't know. I don't have really anything to say.
How crazy can you go on a show based on someone possessed by the devil on Hulu? How wild can they get with this show, Mike? Is it going to be tame? This better not be another Inhumans, because I'm going to be mad. I was thinking about that show yesterday when I was driving around. I'm like, no one's really talked about that show since it came out, and that's probably better.
I feel like it's those it's like those old tales you hear about people that drop acid, and then there's that whole bro science where people are just like, oh, if you drop acid like once, you never know. 30, 40 years later, the rest of it could hit you again because it just stays in your system. But like this is like Inhumans for Chris. At any given time, the fact that the Inhumans was a failure to launch creeps up into the back of his head, and then he goes for a trip.
It is so cringy thinking about that show. Like you watched the first episode, right? We talked about this.
We went to the IMAX showing of this thing.
I apologize we had to pay for this, but I just remember Gorgon walking into the water screaming, Triton! And it was so unbelievable, and I just it hurts. It hurts me. But
you know, I'll use this as an opportunity to say a fun thing to do if you don't want to watch a TV show, but you're kind of curious what it's all about, is just to go on YouTube and find somebody that has created a recap of the season. Because season 10 of The Walking Dead, I believe, aired like last week, and I'm not gonna watch the show anymore. I'm out of it anymore. It's not must-see TV anymore. It's not premium USDA choice television, Chris. Wow. But I was just kind of curious where it was at, so I just went on YouTube and I watched this guy called The Recap Man, I think is what his name was. And he had like these really in-depth, like 20-minute recaps of like the previous seasons of The Walking Dead that I haven't seen. And I was like, oh, this is really interesting to see where they took the show. But also, I'm really glad I did not watch these seasons of the show, because what I'm getting in these recaps is really, really stupid. So, you know, if there's a show out there that you've dropped off watching, you don't think you're going to go back and watch it again, just go online and watch the recaps. You can kind of catch back up. It almost feels like you did something, you know? It's like you found like the cliff notes for the book report that you weren't going to write to begin with. So, a shout out for YouTube recaps.
Yeah, I agree. I get through a lot of stuff that way, a lot quicker. Things I don't want to watch, movies I'm like, I should have watched this, but I never did. So,
were you a Breaking Bad person, Chris?
I think we talked about this. I caught on to it much later. I think I caught on to it like literally in 2012. When I was looking for jobs, I was like, what am I gonna do with my spare time? Watch Breaking Bad, and I had to drag myself through a lot of that show because it doesn't make you feel good. And I was like, I don't want to feel bad already, but I ended up watching it all. Yeah, I saw it all.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not usually a person that goes back and rewatches drama shows, but I feel like I'm going to have to in order to really get the most out of the Breaking Bad movie that just came out on Netflix, El Camino, which shows what happened to Jesse at the end of the series. So I'm just kind of like, do I want to dedicate so much time to rewatching Breaking Bad, or should I just dive right in, like being basically dry on Breaking Bad for almost like, it seems like multiple years, like it seems like at least 5 years since I've watched anything Breaking Bad related. Or I was thinking maybe I just go online and I'll watch Breaking Bad recaps. Like I'm sure somebody out there has edited something that'll catch me back up, just because I know what happens. I remembered what happened, but like I feel like you want to be in the vibe of the show before you watch it. So basically, I haven't watched El Camino yet, so don't spoil it for me.
Well, I mean, why doesn't Netflix do that for you?
You know what? I don't know. Maybe they have. I mean, I haven't started it yet, but I guess I wouldn't be surprised if maybe at the beginning you got some sort of like supercut. But usually when Netflix does it, it's short. I can't imagine it being any longer than maybe like 8 minutes or something, and I would honestly sit down and watch something for like 45 minutes.
Yeah, you need a real fan really making this for you. They'll hit the important parts. Like, they won't miss anything. And now that it's out, people will know even more, hey, you should watch this, this, and this, or know this, and this.
And I guess there's some sort of homage in the movie to the meme scene where Walt throws the pizza on the roof. So I'm kind of curious what that is, or do they throw like, I don't know, like a cake on a roof or something? I don't know, but
we'll figure it out.
I guess just a shout out to El Camino.
Yeah.
A lot of shout-outs. This episode has bookended with shout-outs.
Well, I'm going to end it with also saying Helstrom has 10-episode first season, debuting on Hulu in 2020. There you go. We're out of Helstrom. Mike, it's Sunday night for me. I got to go to work tomorrow. Let's wrap this up. Where can people find you at?
If they want to check me out, see what I'm doing, they can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Mike Royer Design. And you can check out my webcomics at pickledcomics.com. Chris, people want to catch up with you? Where can they find you?
Find me on Twitter, Valdan, Valdan, or Instagram, Valdan87. You can also head over to Comic UI. People want to know what we're doing, all the other episodes we do. Maybe listen to our Joker review. They hadn't yet, because we did watch Joker last week and did a review with Mike in his raspy, gravelly voice. Where can they listen to that at?
Well, all you got to do is visit superheroslate.com. You can go there and check out our awesome show notes. So we talked about some promo leaks, which I always love talking about. We got a lot of leaks to trailers in our show notes, so go check that out at the website. And you can find us on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, and wherever else you like to listen to your podcast. You can like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram. You can get merch at superheroslate.com/store. Obviously, like we said at the top of the show, we love hearing from you, so you can reach out anywhere, Instagram, Twitter, email, direct message, wherever. We love hearing from you. We want to know what you think about what we're talking about, and we love our super fans. So if you want to be a super fan of the show, all you got to do is share the show with a friend, share the show with a buddy, and we will be here every single week.
Yep, including next week. We'll see you then.
All right, adios.
Thanks for listening, and don't forget to subscribe.
All right, least exciting news of the day. Let's go.